After 18 years of marriage, I thought those late-night calls were work stress. I thought Ryan was harmless office gossip, until I held her purse at a company party and found messages that destroyed everything. What I did next was the most satisfying moment of my marriage. My name's Dave Anderson. I'm 45 years old, and until recently, I thought I had it all figured out. I owned 4 sports bars across Dallas, started with one dive joint in Deep Ellum back in '98, and built it into something I could be proud of. The kind of places where guys come to watch the game, grab a cold beer, and forget about their troubles for a few hours. I met Amanda when I was 27 and she was 21. She was working as a marketing coordinator for a small firm, fresh out of college with big dreams and bigger ambitions. I was just getting my second location off the ground, working 16-hour days, but somehow she saw something in me worth sticking around for. Amanda was the kind of woman who could light up a room just by walking into it. Smart as a whip, beautiful, and driven in a way that honestly intimidated me at first. She had this laugh that could make you forget whatever was bothering you. And when she looked at you, really looked at you, it felt like you were the only person in the world. We got married 2 years later in a small ceremony at her parents' place in Austin. Nothing fancy, but it felt right. Amanda wanted to focus on her career first, and I respected that. We were partners in everything. She helped me design the layout for my third bar, and I supported her when she decided to jump to a bigger marketing firm. The kids came along a few years into the marriage. First Emma, now 16 and every bit as headstrong as her mother. Then Jake, 13 and already showing signs he might want to follow in the old man's footsteps. They're good kids, both of them. Smart, funny, and until recently, they were the glue that held our family together. For the longest time, we had this rhythm down. Amanda would handle the morning routine with the kids, while I dealt with late-night inventory and staff issues at the bars. Weekends were family time. Emma's soccer games, Jake's baseball tournaments, barbecues in the backyard with friends. We weren't perfect, but we worked. The trouble started about 3 years ago when Amanda got promoted to senior marketing director at Peterson & Associates. Suddenly, her 40-hour weeks turned into 60-hour marathons. Client dinners, weekend conferences, business trips that seemed to pop up out of nowhere. I get it. Success doesn't come easy, and I was proud of her for climbing that ladder. But somewhere along the way, Amanda and I stopped being teammates and started being roommates who happened to share a mortgage and 2 kids. The first real sign something was off came about 6 months ago. Amanda started getting these late-night phone calls that she'd take in the other room. When I asked about them, she'd wave me off with some excuse about crisis management or client emergencies. "Dave, you don't understand the pressure I'm under," Amanda would say, that edge creeping in her voice that I'd been hearing more often lately. This promotion came with responsibilities you can't just ignore. Fair enough, I thought. Running 4 bars meant I understood demanding schedules. Hell, there were nights I didn't get home until 2 in the morning because one of my managers called in sick or we had some issue with rowdy customers. The difference was I always told Amanda where I was and what was happening. But these calls were different. Amanda would step onto the back patio or lock herself in our bedroom. Her voice would get softer, more intimate somehow. When I mentioned it, she'd snap at me about trust and paranoia. The name I started hearing more often was Ryan. Ryan from the creative department. Ryan who was so innovative with digital campaigns. Ryan who apparently worked the same crazy hours Amanda did, which explained why they had to collaborate so much on weekends. "He's just a colleague, Dave," Amanda said one evening when I asked why this Ryan guy was texting her at 9 o'clock on a Sunday. "We're working on the Morrison account together. It's a big deal for the company." I wanted to believe her. Marriage is built on trust, right? But something in my gut kept nagging at me. Maybe it was the way she'd smile at her phone when she thought I wasn't looking, or how she'd suddenly become protective of it, never leaving it unattended like she used to. The kids noticed too. Emma mentioned one night at dinner that Mom seemed different lately. Distracted, always on her phone, short-tempered about things that never used to bother her. Jake, being 13, just rolled his eyes and said Mom was being weird and moody. "Your mother's under a lot of stress at work," I told them, playing the role of supportive husband. "We need to cut her some slack." But inside, I was starting to wonder if stress was really the problem or if something else entirely was going on. The breaking point came last Tuesday night. I got home early from the Lakewood location around 8:30, expecting to find Amanda helping Jake with his homework like usual. Instead, the house was quiet. Emma was in her room, doing her own thing, and Jake was playing video games in the basement. "Where's your mom?" I asked Emma. She said she had to go back to the office for some emergency meeting. Emma replied, not looking up from her textbook. Said she'd be home late. That's when I noticed Amanda's laptop was still on the kitchen counter, plugged in and charging. What kind of emergency meeting could she have without her computer? I decided to take action instead of sitting around wondering what the hell was going on. The next morning, while Amanda was in the shower, I did something I never thought I'd do in 18 years of marriage. I checked her phone. Her passcode was Emma's birthday, same as it had been for years. What I found made my blood run cold. Text messages with Ryan from the night before, sent while she was supposedly at that emergency meeting. "Missing you already." One message read, "Can't wait for the conference in Austin next week." "Me too," Amanda had replied. "Just wish we didn't have to be so careful." I took screenshots with my own phone, my hands shaking with anger and disbelief. There were dozens of messages going back months, intimate conversations, plans for secret meetups, discussions about hotel rooms and cover stories. When Amanda came out of the bathroom, I was sitting on the edge of our bed, staring at her phone in my hands. "Dave, what are you doing?" Amanda's voice was sharp, defensive. "I think that's my line," I said, standing up slowly. "I'm 6'2" and played football in high school, and right then I used every inch of that presence. "Want to tell me about Ryan? Or should I just read your texts out loud?" Amanda's face went white, then flushed red. But instead of coming clean, she went on the attack. "How dare you go through my phone?" she shouted. "You have no right to invade my privacy like that." "Privacy?" I stepped closer, my voice deadly calm. "We're married, Amanda. We have 2 kids together. There shouldn't be anything private between us that involves other men." "It's not what you think," she stammered, reaching for the phone. "Ryan and I are just friends. We work together, and sometimes we vent to each other about personal stuff." I held the phone up, out of her reach. "Friends don't make hotel reservations together, Amanda. Friends don't text about missing each other at midnight." She tried a different approach, tears forming in her eyes. "Dave, you're overreacting. You're reading too much into innocent conversations." "Innocent?" I laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Tell me, what's innocent about lying to your husband and kids about where you are?" Amanda broke down crying, which might have worked on me 6 months ago. But I'd seen too much, read too many messages. The woman I'd married wouldn't have been capable of this level of deception. "Dave, please," she sobbed. "I never meant for this to happen. It developed over time. Ryan understands the pressure I'm under at work. And I don't." I set her phone down on the dresser, crossing my arms. "I've been supporting your career for 18 years, Amanda. I've covered for you with the kids, handled everything at home when you had to travel. What the hell else was I supposed to do?" "You don't get it," she said, wiping her eyes. "You come home to your bars where everyone treats you like the boss, where you're the big man. I'm fighting for respect every single day in that office. So you decided to sleep with your coworker?" The words came out harder than I intended, but I was past caring about her feelings. "That's your solution to workplace stress?" Amanda flinched like I'd slapped her. "We haven't. It's not physical. We just talked, mostly." I picked up her phone again and scrolled to a particular message. "Really? Because this text from last Tuesday says, 'Last night was incredible. I can't stop thinking about your hands on me.'" The fight went out of her then. She sat down heavily on the bed, her whole body sagging with defeat. "What do you want to say, Dave?" she whispered. "That I'm sorry. That it was a mistake. I want you to tell me the truth," I said. "All of it. How long this has been going on, what you've actually done together, and whether you think our marriage is worth saving." Amanda looked up at me, and for a moment I saw a flash of the woman I'd fallen in love with all those years ago. But then her expression hardened. "I don't know if it is worth saving," she said quietly. "Maybe we've just grown apart. Maybe this is just life." That's when I knew. Whatever we'd had was already gone. The woman sitting in front of me wasn't my wife anymore. She was a stranger wearing Amanda's face. I walked to the closet and pulled out a duffel bag. "What are you doing?" Amanda asked. "Giving you what you want," I said, starting to pack. Space to figure out what life looks like with Ryan. I stayed at my brother Mike's place for 3 days, using the time to think clearly and plan my next moves. Mike runs a construction company and has been through his own divorce, so he understood what I was going through without asking too many questions. "You sure you want to go nuclear on this?" Mike asked while we sat on his back deck, drinking beer and watching the sunset. Maybe there's still a chance to work things out. Would you take back a woman who's been lying to your face for months? I asked him, who's been sneaking around with some office pretty boy while you're home taking care of her kids? Mike took a long pull from his beer. Point taken. What's your plan? First, I'm calling my lawyer, I said. Texas is a fault-based divorce state, and I've got evidence of adultery. Second, I'm going to make sure Amanda faces consequences for what she's done. The next morning, I met with David Chun, the attorney who'd handled the legal work when I bought my fourth bar location. Chun specialized in business law, but he knew enough about family law to point me in the right direction. You need someone who specializes in high-asset divorces, Chun told me. Based on what you're telling me, this could get messy. Your wife works for a major firm. You own multiple businesses. There's a lot of money at stake. He referred me to Patricia Williamson, a family law attorney with a reputation for being ruthless but fair. When I showed Patricia the screenshots from Amanda's phone, her expression didn't change, but I could tell she was already calculating strategies. This is good evidence, Patricia said, reviewing the messages. But we need to be smart about how we proceed. Has your wife tried to contact you since you left? Dozens of calls and texts. I confirmed. Mostly apologies mixed with accusations. She's trying to make this my fault somehow. Don't respond to anything, Patricia advised. Let her wonder what you're planning. Meanwhile, I want you to document everything. Financial records, business assets, any evidence of her spending money on this affair. That afternoon, I drove to my Lakewood bar to clear my head and check on operations. My manager, Carlos, had been running things smoothly, but I could tell the staff sensed something was different about my mood. Everything okay, boss? Carlos asked when he found me sitting alone at the bar after closing time. Personal stuff, I said. Nothing that affects the business, but I might need you to handle more responsibilities for a while. Carlos nodded. He'd been with me for 8 years and knew better than to push for details. Whatever you need, Dave. We've got your back. While I was planning my legal strategy, Amanda was apparently having a meltdown. Emma called me on Thursday evening, her voice shaky and upset. Dad, you need to come home, Emma said. Mom's been crying for 2 days straight, and she's acting really weird. Jake's scared, and honestly, so am I. What do you mean weird? I asked, though I had a pretty good idea what was happening. She keeps pacing around the house, talking to herself. Emma explained. She called in sick to work, which she never does, and she's been on the phone constantly with someone. When I asked her what was wrong, she just said you were being unfair and that I wouldn't understand. I felt a stab of guilt about the kids being caught in the middle of this mess, but I also knew that Amanda was trying to use them to manipulate me into coming home before I was ready. Tell your mom I'll be by tomorrow evening to talk, I said. And Emma, none of this is your fault, okay? This is between your mother and me. Are you guys getting divorced? Emma asked quietly. The question hit me like a punch to the gut. Emma was 16, old enough to understand what was happening, but still young enough to hope her parents could work things out. I don't know yet, sweetheart, I said honestly. But whatever happens, you and Jake are the most important things in the world to me. That's never going to change. The next evening, I drove to the house I'd shared with Amanda for 12 years. She met me at the front door before I could even use my key, and I could see she'd been crying recently. She'd also made an effort with her appearance. Makeup, nice clothes, the whole works. Dave, thank God you're here, Amanda said, reaching for me. We need to talk. I've been thinking about everything, and I know we can fix this. I stepped back, avoiding her touch. Where are the kids? Emma's at soccer practice, and Jake's at your mother's house for the night, she said. I thought we needed privacy to work through this. I walked into the living room and sat down in my usual chair, but I didn't relax. Amanda sat on the couch across from me, leaning forward like she was about to deliver a sales pitch. Dave, I know I made mistakes, she began. But what Ryan I have, it's not real. It's just stress relief, you know? A distraction from all the pressure at work. Stress relief. I repeated. Amanda, you've been having an affair for months. You've been lying to me and our children. You think that's just stress relief? It wasn't supposed to go this far, she said, tears starting again. I love you, Dave. I love our family. Ryan means nothing compared to what we have. I studied her face, looking for any sign of the woman I'd married 18 years ago. But all I could see was someone who'd been caught and was trying to talk her way out of consequences. 3 weeks later, Amanda dropped a bombshell that I should have seen coming. She walked into the kitchen Tuesday morning while I was drinking my coffee, dressed for work but wearing an expression I hadn't seen before, determined, almost defiant. "Dave, there's something I need to tell you," Amanda announced, standing across from me with her arms crossed. "Peterson and Associates is throwing a celebration party this Saturday for landing the Morrison account. It's a big deal for the company, and I need you to come with me." I set down my coffee mug slowly, studying her face. After weeks of tearful apologies and promises to end things with Ryan, she was suddenly inviting me to a work function? Something didn't add up. "You want me to come to a company party?" I asked. "The same company where your boyfriend works?" Amanda's jaw tightened. "Ryan won't be there. He's been transferred to the Austin office as part of his promotion. This party is about celebrating our success as a team, and I need my husband there to show everyone that we're solid." "Are we solid, Amanda?" I leaned back in my chair, crossing my arms to mirror her posture. "Because last I checked, you were still deciding whether our marriage was worth saving." "I've made my decision," she said, her voice taking on that professional tone she used at work. "I want to fix this, Dave, but I need you to show up for me. One night, that's all I'm asking." I could see through a game plan. Amanda was trying to control the narrative, to present herself as the devoted wife who'd worked through a rough patch with her supportive husband. She wanted to salvage her reputation at work while keeping her options open at home. But here's what Amanda didn't know. I'd already been in contact with Patricia Williamson about filing for divorce. The papers were drawn up and ready to serve. I was just waiting for the right moment to pull the trigger. "All right," I said finally. "I'll go to your party." Amanda's relief was visible, her shoulders sagging as tension left her body. "Thank you, Dave. This means everything to me." "I'm sure it does," I replied, but my tone carried an edge she was too self-absorbed to notice. The truth was, I wanted to see Amanda's workplace dynamic for myself. I wanted to meet the people she'd been lying to about her marriage, and I wanted to see how she planned to handle Ryan's absence. Most importantly, I wanted to observe her behavior when she thought she'd successfully manipulated me into playing along with her charade. Amanda spent the rest of the week preparing for this party like it was the social event of the century. She bought a new dress, got her hair and nails done, and kept talking about how important it was for her colleagues to see us as a united front. "You understand how crucial this is for my career, right?" she said Friday night while trying on her outfit. "After everything that's happened, I need to show that I'm stable and focused." "I understand perfectly," I told her, and I meant it. I understood that Amanda was more concerned about her professional image than our marriage. I understood that she saw me as a prop in her performance rather than a partner she'd betrayed. Most of all, I understood that this party was going to be the perfect venue for what I had planned. Saturday night arrived, and Amanda was practically vibrating with nervous energy as we got ready to leave for the party. She'd chosen an elegant black cocktail dress that showed just enough to be professional but attractive, and she'd spent an hour on her makeup. "How do I look?" she asked, spinning around in front of our bedroom mirror. "Like a woman trying very hard to impress someone," I said, adjusting my tie. Amanda missed the underlying meaning of my comment entirely. "Good. I want everyone to remember why I deserve the regional director position that's opening up next month." The party was being held at the Adolphus Hotel downtown, in one of their private event spaces. As we walked through the lobby, Amanda slipped her arm through mine, playing the role of devoted wife to perfection. "There's my boss, Mr. Peterson," Amanda whispered as we entered the reception area. "And that's Sarah Chun, the woman I'm competing with for the promotion. Act charming, but not too charming." I played my part, shaking hands and making small talk with Amanda's colleagues while she worked the room like a seasoned politician. Every few minutes, she'd touch my arm or lean against me, making sure everyone could see how solid our marriage appeared. But I was watching everything with different eyes now. I noticed how some of her male colleagues looked at her, how she responded to their attention, how easily she lied about our relationship when people asked how we were doing. About an hour into the party, Amanda excused herself to go to the restroom. "Hold on to my purse, will you?" she said, pressing her small black clutch into my hands. "I'll be right back." The moment she disappeared around the corner, I opened her purse. Her phone was right on top, and, just like I'd hoped, it wasn't locked. She'd been distracted by the party atmosphere and had forgotten to secure it. I scrolled quickly to her messages with Ryan. What I found made my blood boil all over again. Despite her claims that he'd been transferred and their relationship was over, they'd been texting as recently as that afternoon. "Wish I could be there tonight," Ryan had written. "Hate that you have to pretend with him." "Only a few more weeks," Amanda had replied. "After I get the promotion, I can file for divorce and we can be together openly." I took screenshots of the entire conversation, then pulled a cocktail napkin from a nearby table. Using the pen I always carried, I wrote a simple message. "Hope he was worth destroying our family for. The kids deserve better than a mother who lies this easily." I slipped my wedding ring off my finger, the ring I'd worn for 18 years, and wrapped it in the napkin with a note. Then I placed both items in her purse, closed it, and set it back on the table where she'd left it. I didn't wait for Amanda to return from wherever she'd actually gone. I walked straight to the valet stand, handed over my ticket, and drove home. 20 minutes later, my phone started ringing. Amanda's name flashed on the screen, but I let it go to voicemail. Then it rang again, and again. By the time I got home, I had 14 missed calls and twice as many text messages. I turned off my phone and went to bed, knowing that Amanda had found my ring and note in her purse, probably in front of her colleagues. Let her explain that to her boss and her competition for the promotion. The next morning brought consequences I hadn't fully anticipated. Amanda came home around midnight, but I'd locked the bedroom door. She spent the night on the couch, and I could hear her crying until dawn. When I came downstairs at 7 a.m., Amanda was sitting at the kitchen table still wearing her party dress, makeup smeared and hair disheveled. "We need to talk," she said without looking up. "No, we don't," I replied, pouring coffee. My message last night was clear. "Dave, you don't understand what you've done," Amanda said, voice hoarse. "Mr. Peterson saw me find that ring. Sarah Chun was right there. Do you know how humiliating that was? Not as humiliating as finding out your wife's been planning to divorce you while pretending to work on the marriage." I shot back. "How long have you been texting Ryan about leaving me?" Amanda's face crumpled. "It's not what you think. We were just talking through scenarios." "Bullshit." I set down my mug hard. I saw the messages. "Only a few more weeks, and I can file for divorce." Sounds concrete to me. "Fine." Amanda stood abruptly. "Yes, I was thinking about leaving. But you want to know why? You've been emotionally absent for years, Dave. When's the last time we had a real conversation?" I stared at her, processing this twisted logic. "So this is my fault. I work 60 hours a week for this family. I've supported every career move you've made. And somehow I'm the reason you decided to cheat." "You don't get it," Amanda said, wiping her eyes. "Ryan listens to me. He understands the pressure I'm under. And I don't." I asked, "When's the last time you came home and talked to me instead of immediately getting on your phone? When's the last time you initiated any affection? You've been pulling away for 2 years. It doesn't matter anymore." I continued before she could respond. "You made choices. You chose to lie, sneak around, use company resources for your affair, and plan an exit while pretending to work on our marriage. Now you live with consequences." "What consequences?" she asked, though her eyes showed she knew. "I'm filing for divorce. Patricia Williamson has all the documentation. Papers will be served Monday at your work." Amanda sank back down. "Dave, please. Think about the kids. We can get through this." "The kids will be fine," I said. "They're smart enough to understand that marriages sometimes don't work. As for what we built, you were ready to throw it away for Ryan. Congratulations, you got what you wanted." That afternoon, Emma and Jake found their mother packing suitcases. I'd explained the situation honestly without inappropriate details. "So you're definitely getting divorced?" Jake asked. "Yes. Your mother and I have grown apart, and we can't fix what's broken." "Is it because of that guy she works with?" Emma asked. "I heard her talking to someone last week, and it didn't sound like work." I sighed. "The important thing is this isn't about you two. You didn't cause this. Your mother and I both love you, and that won't change." "Where's Mom going to live?" Jake asked. "She's staying with Aunt Carol until she figures things out. You can see her whenever you want." Emma crossed her arms, looking older than 16. "Dad, I want to live with you." "Jake can choose, but I'm staying here." Jake nodded. "Me too. This is our home." "You don't have to decide right now," I said. "We're sure," Emma said firmly. "Mom messed up our family. Why should we leave our home because of her mistakes?" 6 months later, I sat in Patricia Williamson's office reviewing the final divorce settlement. She delivered exactly what she promised. The judge wasn't sympathetic, Patricia explained. Adultery, misuse of marital assets, and hiding money didn't play well. The numbers were better than I'd hoped. I got the house, primary custody, and Amanda paid child support despite earning less. Her affair cost her the promotion. Sarah Chin got regional director instead, and Amanda was demoted to junior account manager at a different firm. What about Ryan? I asked. Moved back to Austin permanently. His wife took everything in their divorce, and he's struggling to find work. Turns out, sleeping with supervisors doesn't make you employable. Amanda tried reconciling twice during proceedings, but both attempts were half-hearted and motivated by her deteriorating finances rather than genuine remorse. The last time she called, she suggested we could work something out regarding the settlement if I'd give our marriage another chance. I hung up on her. Emma and Jake adjusted better than expected. Emma threw herself into junior year activities and college applications. Jake joined baseball and spent afternoons at practice. They saw Amanda every other weekend and Wednesday evenings, but both preferred staying home with me. She's different now, Emma explained while we cleaned up after dinner. Always apologizing and trying too hard. It's exhausting. Your mother's going through difficult times, I reminded her. Dad, can I ask something? Jake said, do you think you'll ever get married again? The question caught me off guard. I'm not thinking about that now. I'm focused on you guys and the business. But if you met someone nice, would you consider it? Emma asked. Maybe someday. But she'd have to understand you two come first. Always. Good, Emma said. We want you to be happy. You deserve someone who treats you right. Business was going better than ever. Without marriage stress, I'd focused on expanding the franchise. I'd sign a lease for a 5th location in Plano, and my accountant projected record profits. More importantly, I'd regained my self-respect. I wasn't walking on eggshells, wondering what mood Amanda would be in. I wasn't second-guessing conversations or feeling guilty for working hard. The house felt peaceful. Emma and Jake brought friends over regularly. Weekend mornings were relaxed instead of tense. I'd started playing golf again with Mike and buddies, something I'd given up when Amanda complained it took time from family activities she was usually too busy for anyway. One evening, 8 months after the divorce was finalized, I was closing the Lakewood bar when Carlos approached with a grin. Boss, someone wants to buy you a drink, he said, nodding toward the bar. I looked over and saw Lisa Martinez, a woman I'd met at Emma's soccer tournament. She was a single mother whose daughter played on Emma's team. We'd had several friendly conversations during games. Lisa was attractive, intelligent, with a warm laugh that reminded me what it felt like to enjoy talking to a woman without analyzing every word. Hi, Dave, Lisa said when I walked over. Hope you don't mind me stopping by. Emma mentioned you'd be here late, and I thought you could use adult conversation that doesn't involve teenage drama. I smiled, feeling something I hadn't experienced in years. Genuine interest in getting to know someone better. I'd like that. Let me buy you that drink. As we talked and laughed over beer and conversation, I realized Amanda had actually done me a favor. She'd forced me to rebuild my life on my own terms, to rediscover who I was outside a marriage that had been slowly suffocating both of us. I was 45, financially secure, raising 2 great kids who respected me. I had a successful business, good friends, and for the first time in years, genuine optimism about the future. Amanda could keep Ryan, or whoever came after him. I had everything I actually needed, and I was finally free to find everything I wanted.